Greetings, everyone. This is Inner Truth 5. Welcome to Spiritual Science. Today is going to be an in-depth discussion of how eating meat goes against Lord Buddha. Now, first of all, I'm going to begin with my book here, the Mahayana Mahaparinirvana Sutra. And in here, Lord Buddha warns that there will come a time when there will be those who try to justify eating meat and try to say that it's sanctioned by Buddha. So they're going to twist around the teachings. And we're in that time now, and that's why there are many Buddhists who eat meat today. So I want to first start off by reading this portion where Lord Buddha explains this. So here says, such a bodhisattva does not even take pure food. How could he eat meat? 100 years after my death, all the holy sages of the four fruitions, the four stages leading to arhatship, will enter nirvana. The age of wonderful dharma will be over, and there will appear the age of counterfeit dharma. So we are in this age of counterfeit dharma, when the bhikshu will keep the precepts only as a matter of form, will recite only a little of the sutras, will greedily take food and drink excessively. Yes, you can see this is where we're at right now. He proceeds on. Nourish his body. What he wears on his body will be ugly and coarse. He will look wearied and show no dignity. He will feed farm cows and sheep and carry fuel and grass. His beard, nails, and hair will be long. He will don the kasaya priestly robe, but look like a hunter. He will narrow his eyes, walk slowly, and look like a cat who is after a rat. He will always mutter, I have attained arhatship. He will suffer from all kinds of diseases, lie, and sleep on dung. Outwardly he will look wise, but inside he will be greedy and jealous. He practices mute like a Brahmin. Truth to tell, he is no Shraman monk, but only tries to appear as such. He is burning with perverted views, ever slandering wonderful dharma. One such as this transgresses against the precepts, right action, and deportment instituted by the Tathagata. He talks about the fruit of emancipation, but his actions depart from what is pure, and he violates dharma, which is profound and hidden. Each such person, following his own interpretation, will speak contrary to what the sutras and Vinaya rules state, saying, the Tathagata allows all of us meat. They will talk thus and say that the Buddha has so spoken. They will dispute and say that they are Shramans and successors to the Buddha's teaching. Oh, good man, at that time, again, there will be Shramans who store cereals, receive fish and meat, prepare meals themselves, and keep oil pots. They will be around bejeweled parasols, leather footgear, kings, ministers, and rich people. They will indulge in astrological practices and medical treatments. They will keep servants, gold, silver, beryl, musaragalva, agate, crystal, coral, amber, jade, horseshoe shell, and many kinds of melon seeds. They will learn all arts, painting, plastering, bookmaking, and all kinds of science, all kinds of seed sowing and planting of roots, placing of curses, charming, preparation of medicines, theatrical art, music, adorning of their bodies with fragrances and flowers, gambling, game, and various kinds of handiwork. If any bhikshu rejects such evils, one can say that he is Truly, my disciple. Then Kasyapa said further to the Buddha, O world-honored one, the bhikshus, the bhikshunis, upasakas, and upasikas may have to live depending on people. At the time of the alms round, one may be given food containing meat. How can one take it and yet be pure? The Buddha said, use water, wash away the meat, and then eat it, the rest of the food. The utensil may be defiled by meat, but if no taste of meat remains, this may be used. There will be no harm done. If one sees that there is a lot of meat, one should not accept such a meal. One must never eat the meat itself. One who eats it infringes the rule. I now set this rule of segregating oneself from eating meat. If we go into detail, there will be no end of explanations. It is now time that I enter nirvana, so I must dispense with explanations. This is answering well what is inquired about. So first among the moral injunctions, and one that also is accepted and shared by all schools and lineages of Buddhism, is the first precept, do not kill. I undertake the precept to refrain from destroying living creatures. This practice of not killing or not causing harm stems from the same quality that led the Buddha to end his solitude following his awakening and go into the world to teach compassion. Just as his purpose in enunciating the Four Noble Truths was to provide a guide to the end of suffering, so too the first precept, by recognizing that all beings want to live and want to be free of suffering, stems from this very same compassion. The act of killing and the taking of life is anathema to this guiding principle. It is a manifestation of the unwholesomeness root, dosha, or ill will, and it is a cause of suffering for both yourself and others. Quote, abandoning the taking of life, the ascetic Gautama dwells, refraining from taking life, without stick or sword, scrupulous, compassionate, trembling for the welfare of all living beings. From Brahmajala Sutra. Here a noble disciple, having abandoned the destruction of life, abstains from the destruction of life. Streams, Anguttara Nikaya 839. I am one who wishes to live, one who does not wish to die. I desire happiness and am averse to suffering. Since I am one who wishes to live and am averse to suffering, if someone were to take my life, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if I were to take the life of another, of one who wishes to live, who does not wish to die, who desires happiness and is averse to suffering, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the other either. What is displeasing and disagreeable to me is displeasing and disagreeable to the other too. How can I inflict upon another what is displeasing and disagreeable to me? Having reflected thus, he himself abstains from the destruction of life, exhorts others to abstain from the destruction of life, and speaks in praise of abstinence from the destruction of life. From Sotapatti Samyutta, the people of Bamboo Gate Samyutta Nikaya 55-7. Importantly, the prohibition on killing does not apply only to someone personally killing an animal. It also applies to someone who causes another to kill. This recognizes the notion that you are not absolved from responsibility by simply asking another to do an act that you choose not to do yourself. Whether you solicit someone to kill on your behalf or conspire with another to kill, you are as morally liable as if you did the killing yourself. All beings fear danger. Life is dear to all. When a person considers this, he does not kill or cause to kill. From Dhammapada 129. One should not kill any living being nor cause it to be killed, nor should one incite any other to kill. From Nalaka Sutta, Sutta Nipata 3:11. These sentiments about compassion and loving kindness towards all beings are also reflected in the familiar phrases. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. These are not idle words or ideas to be taken lightly. They are meant to be lived every moment. While on its face this moral precept appears similar to the Judeo-Christian admonition, "Thou shalt not kill," found in the Ten Commandments. So notice that Lord Jesus Christ uses the word kill, "thou shalt not kill," not the word murder. So this is encompassing killing any life, especially animal life. So the Buddhist precept applies to the entirety of sentient beings, living beings that feel pain, including animals. The point is made often. Let him not destroy or cause to be destroyed any life at all, or sanction the acts of those who do so. Let him refrain even from hurting any creature, both those that are strong and those that tremble in the world. From Dhammika Sutta, Sutta Nipata 2:14. Whether they be creatures of the land or air, whoever harms here any living being, who has no compassion for all that live, let such a one be known as depraved. Sutta Nipata. I have loving kindness for footless creatures. For those with 2 feet, I have loving kindness. I have loving kindness for those with 4 feet. For those with many feet, I have loving kindness. May all beings, all living beings, all creatures, everyone, meet with good fortune. May nothing bad come to anyone. From Snakes, Anguttara Nikaya 467. Buddhaghosa also made the point defining virtue as the states beginning with volition present in one who abstains from killing living things. In both the Theravada and Mahayana scriptures, in order to abide in the Dharma, one must refrain from killing animals. While the above is reason enough not to kill animals, there is another rationale for the practice of non-harm towards all sentient beings. According to the teachings, at some point, you have been related to virtually every single being in existence. All male beings have been my father, and all females have been my mother. There is not a single being who has not given birth to me during my previous lives. Hence, all beings of the 6 realms are my parents. Therefore, when a person kills and eats any of these beings, he thereby slaughters my parents. Furthermore, he kills a body that was once my own, for all elemental earth and water previously served as part of my body, and all elemental fire and wind have served as my basic substance. From Brahmajala Sutra. It is not easy, bhikkhus, to find a being who in this long course has not previously been your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter. From Anamata Gasamyutta Mother, Samyutta Nikaya 15. When you kill a cow or a chicken, you are likely killing a creature that was once a close relative. The unwholesome nature of killing animals is also seen throughout the Pali Canon in its strong and repetitive condemnations of trades involving the slaughter of animals. It's such an ignoble line of work that it is specifically proscribed in the Eightfold Noble Path's factor of right livelihood, and as someone who destroys life, a slaughterer is destined for an unfortunate rebirth, either in one of the painful hells or as a species of creeping animal. Bhikkhus, a lay follower, should not engage in these 5 trades. What 5? Trading in weapons, trading in living beings, trading in meat, trading in intoxicants, trading in poisons. This is Vanija Sutta Anguttara Nikaya 5.177. What kind of person, monks, torments himself and pursues the practice of torturing others? Here, some person is a butcher of sheep, a butcher of pigs, a fowler, a trapper of wild beasts, a hunter, a fisherman, a thief, an executioner, a prisoner warden, or one who follows any other such bloody occupation. This is called the kind of person who torments others and pursues the practice of torturing others. From Kandaraka Sutta, Mahima Nikaya. Here, someone destroys life. He is murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings. His destination is crooked, his rebirth is crooked. But for one with a crooked destination and rebirth, I say there is one of two destinations, either the exclusively painful hells or a species of creeping animal. From Creeping Anguttara Nikaya 10-216. In short, the proscription against killing or causing another to kill an animal is undisputed in the Buddhist teachings. It is the foundation of morality, which is the cornerstone of the development of concentration and wisdom. The killing of animals has no place in the Dharma. Now on eating right. The question of eating animals is addressed at length in several Mahayana sutras, and the prohibition is clear and unequivocal. In the Lankavatara Sutra, the Buddha offers numerous reasons to abstain from eating animals and continually reaches the same conclusion. For innumerable reasons, Mahamati, the Bodhisattva, whose nature is compassion, is not to eat any animal flesh. Thus, Mahamati, whenever and wherever there is evolution among sentient beings, let people cherish the thought of kinship with them, and holding the thought intention of treating them as if they were our only child, and therefore refrain from eating their flesh. So much for more should bodhisattvas who are committed to being compassionate towards all sentient beings, and whose inner nature is compassion itself, choose to refrain from eating animal flesh. For a bodhisattva to keep good integrity with the Dharma, he or she should not make any exceptions to the eating of animal flesh. Nor should a bodhisattva eat flesh sold by others for monetary profit. Let the bodhisattva discipline himself or herself to attain compassion and refrain from eating animal flesh. The food of the wise, which is eaten by sages, does not consist of animal flesh or blood. Therefore, let the bodhisattva refrain from eating animal flesh. In order to guard the minds of all people, Mahamati, let the bodhisattva whose nature is holy and who wishes to avoid unnecessary criticism of the Buddha Dharma refrain from eating animal flesh. The subject is also addressed in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra. There is no animal flesh to be regarded as pure by any exception. It does not matter if the giving of animal flesh for us to eat is premeditated or not, asked for or not, or whether extreme hunger is present or not. Therefore, it is wise to not eat animal flesh in any circumstance which naturally rises within our life. Let yogis not eat any animal flesh. All Buddhas teach all people to not eat animal flesh, and especially wish those under their guidance to not eat animal flesh. Sentient beings who feed on each other will be reborn as carnivores in the animal realm. Animal flesh eating is rejected by Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and disciples. If a person eats animal flesh out of shamelessness, he or she will not be able to cultivate a wholesome sense of what is appropriate. Animal flesh eating is forbidden by me everywhere and for all time for those who abide in compassion. And in the Sarangam Sutra, the Buddha instructs, how can a bhikshu who hopes to become a deliverer of others himself be living on the flesh of other sentient beings? Pure and earnest bhikshus, if they are earnest and sincere, will never wear clothing made of silk, nor wear boots made of leather, and because it involves the taking of life. Not only are the Mahayana Sutras clear on the question of eating animals, but the Buddha also recognized and anticipated that people would be resistant to the practice of not eating meat. He discussed this in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra. Let a person not give power to the many rationalizations given to justify animal flesh eating. What logicians say under the influence of their addictive craving for animal flesh is sophistic, delusional, and argumentative. What they imagine they witnessed, heard, or suspected that the Blessed One has said, or another Buddha said or did, this is grossly distorted. As greed is a hindrance to liberation, so are the objects of greed a hindrance to liberation. Objects of greed, like animal flesh eating and consuming alcohol, are hindrances to liberation. A time may come when deluded people may say, animal flesh is appropriate food to eat, has no karmic consequences, and is permitted by the Buddha. Some will even say that eating animal flesh can be medicinal. It is more like eating the flesh of your only child. Let a yogi be attuned to what is balanced and nourishing to eat, be adverse to consuming animal flesh and alcohol, and with this clarity go about peacefully begging for food, trusting that what is wanted and needed to sustain a healthy life will be supplied. In short, the Mahayana scriptures, the proscription against eating animals is explicit and conclusive. Alright, now here are some quotes. The lineage of vegetarian monks and teachers is long and distinguished. Many of these noteworthy Buddhists have spoken eloquently about the subject of eating animals. Eating meat at the cost of great suffering for animals is unacceptable. If bereft of compassion and wisdom, you eat meat, you have turned your back on liberation. The Buddha said, the eating of meat annihilates the seed of compassion. From Shabkar Sodruk Rangdal. Buddhists are encouraged to love all living beings and not to restrict their love only to human beings. They should practice loving kindness towards every living being. The Buddha's advice is that it is not right for us to take away the life of any living being, since every living being has a right to exist. Animals also have fear and pain, as do human beings. It is wrong to take away their lives. From Venke Sri Dhammananda Mahathera. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have already expounded extensively on the faults of eating meat in the Elephant Power Sutra, Mahamegha Sutra, Nirvana Sutra, Angulimala Sutra, Lankavatara Sutra, Sutra requested by Subahu, and various Madhyamika treatises. From Khenpo Sodargi Rinpoche. Some Buddhists maintain that the Buddha never said we should be vegetarians, and that monks, who the bulk of the Buddhist rules apply to, may eat whatever's offered to them, as long as they do not see, hear, or suspect that the animals, fish, or fowl were killed especially for them. If they so see, hear, or suspect, they are forbidden to eat the flesh. But this standpoint is totally indefensible, as anyone who looks at things a little objectively can see. And to say, as some people do, that by eating meat they are helping the animals with their spiritual growth is too ridiculous and transparent to be seriously considered for a moment. Firstly, the Buddha never called anyone to believe or follow him. Instead, he urged people to see for themselves and find out what is true. Even so, many Buddhists become prisoners of books, repeating things like parrots or tape recorders without investigating, thereby missing the great value of the Buddha's way, which is a way of self-reliance. From Vin Abhinyan. As the noble Katyayana observed when on alms round, the meat we consume in our life is the flesh of our mothers and fathers, from previous lives. If we are upright and have a conscience, how can we bear to eat the flesh of our parents killed by a butcher? If we quiet the mind and ponder this, we will definitely be filled with great compassion for these pitiful beings that were our mothers. From Jigme Lingpa. The beings with unfortunate karma that we are supposed to be protecting are instead being killed without the slightest compassion, and their boiled flesh and blood are being presented to us, and we, their protectors, the bodhisattvas, then gobble it up gleefully, smacking our lips. What could be worse than that? It is said that offering to the wisdom deities the flesh and blood of a slaughtered animal is like offering to a mother her murdered child. If you invite a mother for a meal and then set before her the flesh of her own child, how would she feel? It is with the same love as a mother for her only child that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas look on all beings of the three worlds. Patrul Rinpoche. Just as no pleasures can bring delight to someone whose body is ablaze with fire, the great compassionate ones cannot be pleased when harm is done to sentient beings. Flesh free from the three objections, not prepared, unasked, unsolicited, there is none. Therefore one should not eat flesh. From Arya Shantidev. Flesh eating is wicked, for we should not kill, nor cause to kill. To purchase flesh in the bazaar is to cause slaughter, for the supply is proportional to the demand. He who consents to the killing, he who strikes, he who slaughters, he who buys, he who cooks, he who serves, he who eats, they are all murderers. These are the words of Manu, an Indian philosopher. So everyone is an accomplice in the murderous game, beginning from the butcher and ending with the one who eats. There is a common belief in Buddhist countries that anyone may eat flesh provided he does not kill the animal with his own hands. But it is not so, because eating is the cause of slaughter. If we become vegetarians, all the butchers will have to close their shops and turn to a better profession. By eating flesh, we keep a class of people in a miserable profession. It is not fair that we should force the butchers to go to hell for our sake. If we become vegetarians, then the whole world would be at peace. There are people who sacrifice to the gods, and there are people who sacrifice to their stomachs. I think that their stomach is their god. Let us practice infinite loving kindness. It is impossible to say, let all beings be happy, because if a flesh eater says, may all beings be happy, while he is crushing flesh between his teeth, it will be sheer hypocrisy. Therefore, if a flesh eater wants to be logical, he should say, while eating flesh food, may all creatures be happy except those creatures which I am chewing between my teeth. For I am sure that the creatures which are being masticated cannot be happy, nor could have been happy when they were killed for the sake of the flesh eater. Therefore he cannot practice all-embracing love when he is eating flesh, because by eating flesh he automatically demands a certain proportion of the creatures in the world to die for his sake. It is the doctrine of selfishness that one should live on the flesh of another. From Ven U Lokanath. The reason for being a vegetarian is not so that we can live a long time, but because of the mind of compassion and equality. First, sentient beings are future Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Therefore, we should not eat their flesh. Second, everyone has Buddha nature. Besides protecting our own life, we also must respect the lives of all sentient beings. Third, vegetarianism is based on the principle of causality that spans the past, present, and future. Therefore, we clearly understand the reason for vegetarianism is the Bodhisattva cause, the right cause. Grandmaster Wei Chu. Mahayanists observe the Bodhisattva precepts, one of which is the prohibition against partaking of the flesh of an animal. This prohibition is called Tapasa Shilavrata, and is a practical rule for eradicating the evil of wrath. This bodhisattva precept was observed by Lord Buddha when he was called Shakya Bodhisattva before he attained enlightenment. From Ven Dich Huyen Vi. Eating meat is the direct cause of an immense quantity of suffering for sentient beings. Many people, myself included, struggle with the notion that a religion as categorically opposed to violence as Buddhism can so blithely wave away the suffering inherent in eating meat. When we recite the first precept, we say, "I undertake the training to refrain from killing living beings." This is a challenge, and in itself is a powerful ethics. Yet it is merely a short summary of a principle. It was never meant to fully describe the virtue of harmlessness. When the Buddha spoke of this precept in more detail, this is what he had to say. Having abandoned the taking of life, refraining from the taking of life, one dwells without violence, with the knife laid down, scrupulous, full of mercy, trembling with compassion for all sentient beings. This is not just an ethic of allowability. It doesn't merely set a minimum standard. It calls us out, asking us to aspire to a higher sense of compassion, an ethic that deeply feels for the welfare of all beings, more than just asking, does this act come from an intention to harm? We ask ourselves, is this act the best I can possibly do to promote the welfare of all? Rather than simply escaping bad karma, we create good karma. I don't know if that meant to say karma or if it's really saying karma. All right, it says, this is by Ajahn Sujato. The salvation of birds and beasts, if included, this is the object of Shakyamuni's religious austerities. Zen Master EQ. We should not restrict our bodhicitta to a limited number of beings. Wherever there is a space, beings exist, and all of them live in suffering. Why make distinctions between them, welcoming some as loving friends and excluding others as hostile enemies? Kyabje Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I undertake to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world. In my thinking and in my way of life, Dich Nat Han. It's best to avoid eating meat out of compassion. Before eating the meat, think of where it came from. Through cutting an animal's neck against its will, and how much suffering the animal experienced. After thinking about that, you can't eat the meat. Lama to Drupten Yeshe. Life is more precious than anything else in the world. Even insects want to live. Whenever we break any of the 5 precepts of Buddhism, we have violated some other sentient being. Whenever we kill anyone, we violate that being at the deepest level possible. Meat eating should be avoided. Zen Master Singyun. As the Buddha taught over 2,500 years ago, there are many benefits to following a vegetarian lifestyle, both for us and for other beings as well. Today, so many centuries later, the Buddha's words are as powerful as ever. From Geshe Thupten Felge, Dharma Voices for Animals, contributor. The best way to protect and liberate lives is to adopt a vegetarian diet, because sentient beings will be slaughtered as long as there are people who eat meat. Hence, in present situation, it be life protection or life liberation, I think that the best way will be to adopt a vegetarian diet. From Ojien Chunle Dorje, the 17th. Gyalwang Karmapa. Anyone familiar with the numerous accounts of the Buddha's extraordinary compassion and reverence for living beings, for example, his insistence that his monks strain the water they drink lest they inadvertently cause the death of any microorganisms, could never believe that he would be indifferent to the sufferings of domestic animals caused by their slaughter for food. Roshi Philippe Kapleau. Vegetarian cultivates patience, compassion, and wisdom. Dharma Master Cheng Yen. If one has strong determination, one will avoid doing evil deeds at all costs and under any circumstances. We certainly face difficulties in becoming full vegetarians. However, when such obstacles arise, we should remember how every sentient being had at one point or another been our parents. Drubwang Rinpoche. All right, we'll do one more here. There is no reason why animals should be slaughtered to serve as human diet when there are so many substitutes. Man can live without meat. People think of animals as if they were vegetables, and that is not right. We have to change the way people think about animals. I encourage the Tibetan people and all people to move toward a vegetarian diet that doesn't cause suffering. And this is H.H. Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama. All right, so I will stop there. So these are the reasons that eating animals, that eating meat goes against Lord Buddha and Lord Buddha's teachings. So I wanted just to present that to you today, and what you do with that is all up to you. But I just wanted to share that info. These are principles that I personally stand by, and I follow the teachings of Lord Buddha in my personal life, and it has a big impact in my outlook, my spiritual outlook, my morals, my beliefs. So when asked why I am a lacto-vegetarian, my response is that it is absolutely essential for the way that I live my life, for my moral beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, my belief that no animals should be killed, neither for food nor for religious sacrifices or any of that. No, for no reason. No animals should be killed, and all life should not be killed as much as possible. You know, I understand that we have to eat, so therefore there are plant foods to eat, and there's milk products to eat. Milk products are sanctioned by Lord Buddha. They're also sanctioned by all the world religions. All world religions sanction milk and milk-derived products. So therefore, when you milk a cow, you are not killing the cow and you are not eating the flesh of the cow. The milk is designed to be complete food. It's a food. It's not an animal flesh food. So I abstain from animal flesh foods, but I do eat dairy, milk products in my diet. All right, so that's about it. So thank you for listening, everybody, and you all have a beautiful, blessed day.